when you're talking about that one-on-one, I wanna play the game tonight. It's tonight, Toronto Raptors. Get it? Tonight is NBA's kickoff, and we're still doing our season preview. We'll go on through the weekend. Amazing night tonight, but we're going to focus in on the long-term appearance of a team rather than the game tonight versus the New Orleans Pelicans. And in this new team, the former champions, the Toronto Raptors, they lose a lot, right? They lose Kawhi Leonard, right? They lose, who else did they lose? Hate to say it, I believe that is it. And that was really a setup. They just lost Kawhi Leonard. All for Sports Mikey B. So they return everybody but Kawhi Leonard? Yeah, that's right. The X's are still there. Kyle Lowry's still there. Pascal Siakam's still there. They also still have Marc Gasol, but oops, I'm lying. Danny Green's gone, went to the Lakers, right? We got Danny Green that's left. But this team, I sang that first song there. You know, the name of the group is not Foreigner, but it was one of those Foreigner type of beats. They have expanded their team this summer either through attrition, through developing their players, or they went out and drafted or grabbed somebody from another team that has a potential to play within the system. For anyone that has doubted the Toronto Raptors this year, slow your roll. It's not going to be pudding pie. It's not going to be the Raptors are out of the playoffs. That's not how it's going to go. Kawhi Leonard is amazing. I get it. He's a great part of this team, and I'm still talking about him, right? When I'm supposed to be doing a season review. But there are other players that can step up and kind of meet the demand that Kawhi Leonard filled. The NBA is becoming a league where a lot of players are becoming replaceable. Hence why a lot of these vets can't get in the game, right? Carmelo Anthony and ISO Joe just got let go from the Detroit Pistons. So let's continue on with Kyle Lowry leading the punch, leading the trail as the number one X for this team. Next up, I mentioned Pascal Siakam. Next up, who is the number 3 option on this team? I like to see 3. Well, there is not necessarily 3 options, but I'm going to call this a 2B because of the play of Fred VanVleet, Marc Gasol, and potentially, here we go, you ready for the downvotes? OG Anunoby, yes sir, and Chris Boucher. These 4 players are going to make up what I call the Kawhi replacement minutes and points. I expect big things from these guys. They're loaded at the forward position, and let's just go over that. So now they are a 2B.5 team, right, as I just mentioned. But then you got players such as Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, right, who didn't have a prominent role with the Brooklyn Nets, who comes over. And you take another chance. You say, you know, there's a guy out there by the name of Stanley Johnson, a highly rated prospect out of high school, probably top 5 prospect, has never shown himself. I'm going to be straight up and say it. I loved him, but he hasn't shown what he can truly do on the court. Reminiscent of, I'm combining him, man. I don't want to call him Ron Artest. I'm just saying that he has that kind of size, his strength. He's a strong player. Looks to have a good stroke. Looks to be able to drive at will and overpower players. Has never really shown through what he can be in the NBA. Stanley Johnson. When we talk about the X's, you're not part of the X group right now, but this is your greatest opportunity to help the Toronto Raptors in trying to win a championship again. Are they going to get to the championship? Well, the East is that opened up. If there's an Angels to Giannis or Greek Freak, you could see something. Is this team in competition with the 76ers already? In my opinion, 76ers, because of your losses of JJ Redick and Jimmy Butler, you're equal to this team. I'm sorry to say that. People are going to downvote me. You can downvote me all you want. But let's go back into the pieces. I mentioned OG. I mentioned Chris Boucher. Like, you're like, where did this guy come from? Yeah, Fred VanVleet. Okay? Those guys are going to play a prominent role. The guys that could potentially get you over the hump is Hollis Jefferson or Stanley Johnson. I'm not done yet because there's going to be a third scorer. I mentioned guys that are potentially going to fill the stat sheet as a 2B. So who's really the 3 right now? There is no 3, but there isn't a prominent person on this team that needs to freaking score, and that's Norm Powell. Norm Powell has been looked over for years and years and really not given the minutes that he deserves with the improvements that I've seen. Hey, Norm, I see you. I talked about you all last year. I think we're going to have an exciting year from Norm Powell. Hopefully he's playing the 6-man role so he can possibly be in the running for 6-man of the year. He is off the bat, barring no injury, an MIP candidate. I'm excited for the Toronto Raptor fans and getting to see what they probably haven't with some of their players. And Norm Powell was one of those players that can bust loose. Now you got your vets, right? The staples. You know what you're going to get from Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka. Big vets that have been in the league for a very long time. Looks like they upped Ibaka's size to about 7 foot. And Marc Gasol has been a standard bearer of top big men in the league for years. He's up in age. He's on his last legs. However, in this league, with the way they play, Nikola Jokic being the model, I think Marc Gasol can give you 40 to 50% of a Nikola Jokic and can prove to be beneficial to any team going for a championship run. Who else did they add outside of Johnson and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson? Let's go into the guy that no one's really talking about on the bench. Even though they have their backup in Fred VanVleet, I think there's another one that's truly available that can pay dividends. What happens with Patrick McCaw? Forced to trade out of Golden State Warriors. Does he give you a nice 10 points a game, improve your 3-point percentage? Because right now, this is the 3-and-D team of the East. They're the scariest 3-and-D team. They're up there with, I'm going to mention this, the Orlando Magic, which I just did a review on, as far as all the weapons they have on the forward and guard side that they can swap around and play different roles, just be long and in your face. Patrick McCaw is going to play that stinger shooting guard role. Be advised, I thought it was 6'3", but he's really 6'7". So he's another long guy that can shoot the 3. Will he become a beneficial bench scorer along with Norm Powell? Guess what, Patrick? You're going to have to be. And he's going to have to step up this year. He will get the minutes to try to prove himself and what he means to the Raptors organization. I've kind of gone through the main pieces. The rest are additions either way, no matter how you look at it. Depends on how they perform. Don't know too much about O'Shea Brissett, okay? Do not know too much on him. Let me just click on the kid. O'Shea Brissett looks to be, again, another one of these guys. 21 out of Syracuse. Okay, pretty good score. I remember him there. But what is he doing in the league? We shall see. I don't know if he makes his team. Actually, he's on the team. He's on the 16-man roster. Looks like they had them made that move for tonight. Terrence Davis is another big, strong point guard. I know him. Again, out of Mississippi. He's going to play the defensive guard role. Again, getting additional support for the bench. And again, I think these guys are going down to the G League. And then we got Malcolm Miller, right? Malcolm Miller. So we got a couple more, actually. Malcolm Miller, a 93 baby. Interesting to see what we get from him out of Holy Cross. 26 years old. Again, a journeyman that now has the opportunity to pay dividends as far as maybe a 2-minute, 3-minute a game role, or perhaps show himself in G League and move up. DeJuan Hernandez is an interesting prospect. I love him. I think he's a sleeper. If they can get him going out of Miami, he can do a lot of things on the floor. Stereotypical Raptors center. Can rebound, but also can stretch the floor real well. Really, really poor man's Marc Gasol without the size, and that's huge. Again, they got him listed as forward center because of his light weight at 210, 235 pounds. Last up and not least is Matt Thomas, 6'4". Their standard ring bearer for the guy with good grades. I'm joking. I was going to say the guy with good grades on the team because he's an Iowa State kid. But this guy is a strong guard. He's not going to hurt you. Can shoot the 3-point shot. Again, another guy I think is going to be in the G League and move his way up. These guys can also possibly make headwinds if they're successful in the lower tiers of the NBA basketball ranks, which is their partner league, the G League. In all, I see this as the play. Toronto Raptors. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the lineups. Let's look at where the teams are at, baby. Toronto Raptors. Okay, this is how I see it. Remember, I was kind of laboring last night and trying to figure out, okay, what happens with the freaking NBA in this team in the East side? Who's number one? I mean, it's not Philadelphia. Okay, I mentioned two Florida teams are going to make it. It's going to be Miami and Orlando, in my opinion. That's for sure. All right. Then you got Milwaukee, my favorite. Okay, Milwaukee's definitely the favorite. Then you got Philadelphia. That's four. That's 4 teams in. And then it's just open season all over the place where you can give anyone the benefit of the doubt. All right, it's just open. After you get the Miami Heat, Orlando Magic, Milwaukee Bucks, and Philadelphia 76ers, open season, I'm going to give the Pistons the benefit of the doubt because of Blake Griffin. That's number 5, okay? Now, 6, 7, and 8, interesting proposition. I will do another full video on this. That's where it gets heated, and that's where their opportunity is for the Toronto Raptors to make waves. Could they prove me wrong and jump up to a 4 or 3 slot? I wouldn't be surprised if they have a better regular season than some of these other teams. I wouldn't be surprised because they added new pieces like the Miami Heat, as well as the Philadelphia 76ers. It's going to take time to gel. So if you see the Raptors in a number 2 or 3 spot in the East, wouldn't be surprised. But Raptors probably coming in the 6 or 7 spot for this East Coast, and then it's going to be up to the Boston Celtics, which barely have a chance in my opinion. And I hate to tell you this, guys. I hate New York fans. I keep saying this. New York and Chicago are interesting teams this year. They have a big chance. Atlanta should be there. Atlanta, and I'm going to put them there. Atlanta, New York, and the what did I just say? Atlanta, New York, and Boston are the most interesting teams. Atlanta, no offense, with this week of the East, has to be in the running for a playoff spot. They have to be. They have enough talent. They have enough vets. They need to be in that running. And this week, East Coast, with everything they have, there should be no excuses except the fact that they lost Omari Spellman. I hate that move, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be there. Anyhow, the Raptors face a difficult task this year. However, they still have the same team. I still think they'll have the same type of impact. It's just not a championship impact without Kawhi. That's a little bit of an X factor. All for signing off, giving you the season preview of what we'll see from the Toronto Raptors. I'm out. Peace.